This segment is all about selling your business in today's economy. Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial, and this segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. Joining me on this segment is Bart Rupert. He's the founder of Stone Peak Alliance. Bart, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Tell us a little bit about your work and specifically let us know who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping.
We help entrepreneurs sell their company. So the short version is that people that have been growing a business and making their dreams a reality, we help turn them into millionaires.
For these business owners that are really great at growing their businesses, how much thought have you found they put into selling it? Is it oftentimes like their first time selling and going through that process? How prepared do you find them when they reach out to you on average?
You might find 2 or 3 out of 100 when they start a business have an exit plan in mind. But we look at Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. It's never too early to start planning your business exit. And the reality is that statistics from groups like Bloomberg tell us that 88% of all new wealth is created by either selling a business or selling real estate. So as soon as you figure that out, it's not a question of should I do that? It's a question of how should I position myself to take advantage of that?
Terrific. And business owners, they don't know what they don't know about this process. So when they reach out to you, what do you find is the biggest, most common question they have or concern?
Most folks are actually scared to reach out the first time or hesitant because they think this may not be for me. My business may be too small. My business is in a specific market niche. The reality is that the most difficult part about selling a company doesn't have anything to do with the industry or, even the type of company it is. It has to do with structuring the deal. And a lot of the times, good deals that should be done very quickly with an excellent payout for the owner can drag out for 9, 12, 18 months. Everybody gets deal fatigue, and then ultimately they fall apart. There are techniques that we help bring to the table, one of which is called asymmetric negotiation, where rather than just attacking a problem directly in a negotiation, we come at it from the side. And we have techniques that are designed to, in a non-threatening basis, pull out the information from the other party so that in terms of where they're at, what they want to do, what their goals are, so that we're helping the buyer identify with the sizzle on the steak more so than like the calories in the steak. And it's the sizzle that sells. And through that, we're able to really leverage what we call the boost technique for the sellers by bringing some of those strategies to bear that get them between 20 and 40% more than industry norm for the sale of their business. And that's really where we specialize.
Interesting. Now, I read a sobering statistic that is as much as 80% of businesses that go on the market end up unselling. What is your view on what sabotages business from selling, and what do you think are the most common mistakes or pitfalls people make?
Yeah, it's true. The top 5 groups that advertise themselves as experts in M&A, and we all know who they are, they have a success and a hit rate of between 8 and 12%. Now, that's 8 and 12% that can just get an offer or a deal of any kind done. That doesn't account for the many millions of dollars that they left on the table because they didn't assist with the negotiation, they didn't assist with the deal format, they didn't structure it properly. There's tax benefits that sellers can take advantage of that these groups just don't bother to share, they don't know. If you work with a group that is more of a specialist, that has been in those entrepreneurial shoes, they have the skill set to be able to not only activate an exit, but do so at a higher multiplier, a higher value. Your question around why most transactions fail, it's largely because you've got somebody in the middle, like a broker, that is mucking up the deal or not really helping facilitate it. And brokers can be like lawyers, where everything's going well with the conversation. As soon as you get somebody in the middle of it, they may not understand the context, the business, the nuances, the relationship, and things fall apart. On the other side, people that try to go it alone and effectively sell their business without any guidance expertise, they may get a transaction done, but they wind up leaving millions on the table because they didn't know the rules of the game before they started. The reality is that this is as much art as it is science, the act of selling a business. And you want somebody that's danced to that dance and knows how to play the game and win at the game so that they can come in and help be an additive fact or additive value in getting that deal done and factually over the line and increasing the amount of acceleration and the value that gets represented, not decreasing it or having it go stagnant.
How do you see the state of buying and selling a business today, post-pandemic, versus, how it was before the pandemic? What are the big differences?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a myth that's out there that things have slowed down with the economic downturn, et cetera. The reality is our group is seeing that to be the opposite. There's been more personal identification by the seller or the founder owner of the business of their own goals as a result. So before the pandemic, people just weren't thinking about exiting. And now you're in a situation where they thought, gee, what is important to me? What do I want to spend my time on? How long do I want to keep working? What do I want to get out of this? Why did I create this business? And they do that soul searching that leads them to an inevitable outcome, which is, I'd like to go ahead and exit from my business. I have an idea of what the terms and the price could look like, and we can help there. But once you actually make that decision, you can set into effect a path to exiting and getting the number you're after and the goals you're after. The buyers are out there. I mean, the reality is that's the seller perspective. From the buyer side, they see this as chaos, and chaos creates opportunity. And anybody that follows Warren Buffett or anyone that's actually looked at these types of things, Jack Welch, for example, they're going to see, okay, when there's fear in the market, that's when you buy, right? Not sell. And there is a lot of uncertainty that was created during that period of time. It gave the sellers clarity. The buyers, on the other hand, looked at it as an opportunity to pick up deals or really broaden their spectrum because their revenue had dipped. And that's because inorganic growth, the act of buying a company, is faster in terms of growth than organic. So these larger companies with the capital, they will choose to buy a company, probably like your listeners, to be able to grow their revenue and their EBITDA far more often than they will just look at organic growth.
Fascinating insight. Bart, what inspired you to get into this field and help business owners transition and sell? How did you get started?
Most of the folks that get into this line of work, buying and selling companies, they come from a financial background. They've spent most of their time growing up in spreadsheets. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't give you the real world experience and the perspective of the business owner. The reason we founded Stone Peak Alliance was because we grew companies and tried to sell them and wound up engaging some of the best firms out there that we thought would be representing us well. And the fact is, they did nothing more than introductions. In fact, in many of the negotiations, they were detrimental to the deal because they didn't understand the best outcome. They didn't understand negotiation process. And we found, myself, over several different exits and exit attempts, found myself stepping in and having to do their work. And eventually realized, having done it a number of times, these guys really aren't that good at it. The top groups that are out there, there's this aura around them that they really know what they're doing. They're just big and tired, and they're not really tuned in the entrepreneur. And we really find that a successful exit means you're tuned in the entrepreneur, you know exactly what they want, you've been there, so you can identify with where they are and what it takes to get a successful exit, and you execute.
Before I ask you my last question, in regards to selling a business today, is there anything I didn't think to ask you that you feel is important to share with business owners that are considering?
There's so much there. The number one would be really get clear about why the business is there in your life. And the reality is, and this is a personal decision, most people that own a business work for their company. And the reality is the company should work for you. And that doesn't mean that you're going to be an absentee owner. What it means is that you've got to get really clear with yourself. What do you want out of it? What is success? And with some people, that's, I identify with my business because that's my identity, and I'm just going to run it until the end of time, and that's fine. For others, there's a specific financial goal, or there's a specific personal goal that they have to achieve. Ask yourself that and really sit with it and talk it over with your spouse, family, et cetera. And if you're looking to line up an exit, the big myth there is that you think there's a certain milestone you've hit where it's time to start having that conversation. The reality is it's never too early. You should reach out to a group like us and get a free valuation on your company, figure out what you can do, look at tweaking some of the projections or, different things internally around the IP if you've got any to say, this is how I can get more out of it. It's never too early to start that dialogue.
Sage advice for business owners listening who would love to speak with you. How can they find you, connect with you, and learn more from you?
Sure. They can hit us up on our website at www.stonepeakalliance.com. Good information out there around what we're able to do, percentages, statistics, industries we serve. You can also email me at brupert, that's BRUPERT, at stonepeakalliance.com.
Bart, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Same here, Mark. Thank you.
That was Bart Rupert, founder of Stone Peak Alliance. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. Thanks for joining me.